Guys, we are less than a month away from the 10-year anniversary of Destiny. 10 years of grinding exotics, 10 years of begging for more vault space, 10 years of maining Titan. It's a big milestone. And it just so happens our partners over at Geology are also celebrating 6 years of phenomenal skincare. Unlike Warlocks, Geology doesn't rely on space magic. They use dermatologists' trusted and approved ingredients that deliver real results. That's why Geology has over 10,000 5-star customer reviews and 35 prestigious awards. I've been personally using Geology for over a year, and not only am I in love with their face wash, I'm also in love with how easy it was to get started with these products. Most of us know nothing about skincare and have no clue where to start. That's why Geology makes it easy with this 60-second quiz that will personalize a skincare routine just for you. So if you're interested today, use code Aztecross70 and grab 70% off your personalized skincare trial sets with an additional 50% off on all add-ons. Just visit our link down below, guys. And again, big shout out to Geology for being such a great partner. Ladies and gents, today we are going to be comparing two of my favorite primary weapons in the game, Necrochasm and Khvostov. Now, can I just say, the D1 versions of these weapons were substantially worse than their D2 version. Bungie has gone above and beyond when it comes to these new revamped versions of old Destiny 1 exotics. But this also causes the exotic primary weapon pool to be very, and I mean very competitive. For a weapon to make its name there, it's gotta be special. But I believe that Necrochasm and Khvostov do possess that it. So much so that Khvostov actually had to get a nerf inside of PvP after coming in slightly too hot with the launch of the final shape. But then we also have Necrochasm, which received a number of buffs and reworks, making it worthy of the title Weapon of Sorrow. Both of these weapons occupy not only the same kinetic slots, but they're both exotic auto rifles. The question is, which one is in fact better? Let's start with Necrochasm. This is a kinetic raid exotic auto rifle. With the release of the final shape, we saw a significant sandbox shift. In that update, there were many changes that buffed Necrochasm, including an entirely reworked catalyst. Now, we made an entire guide already on how to get Necrochasm, how to get the exotic catalyst. Let me just say that process is easier, at least easier compared to what it was when Crota's and the raid first dropped. But collecting those essences of Oversoul should be a tad bit easier. Now, Necrochasm is a 720 kinetic round per minute auto rifle with its main exotic perk, Curse Springer. This reads that precision final blows of this weapon trigger a Curse Thrall explosion and increases reload speed for a short time. Now, final blows with Curse Thrall explosions refills the magazine. Now, this effect causes an instant explosion. Literally, a Cursed Thrall explosion. And a burn effect that will cause even more Thrall explosions if it gets the kill. And you can actually set this up, guys, where it will just chain and clear the entire room. Now, the initial explosion deals 25,432 damage here at Carl, with the burn damage dealing 510 across 7 ticks of damage. Now, throughout all of this, if the Cursed Thrall explosion gets a kill, this will also refill the magazine. Now, the other perk that's found on this weapon is called Desperation. It reads that reloading after a precision final blow or a final blow with a Cursed Thrall explosion increases your rate of fire and improves stability in aim assist. Now, this is essentially Desperado on steroids. This kicks our rounds per minute up to 900, and this lasts for a whopping 7 seconds. Now, in terms of the stability bump and the aim assist bump, it seems to be somewhere around +6 stability and 10 to 15 aim assist, which is nice, and you're gonna need it because this thing turns into a bullet hose. If you guys remember Doctrine of Passing back inside of Destiny 1, that's the rate of fire you're shooting at here with this Necrochasm, which is nuts. Now, let's talk about the sandbox changes that hit this weapon. With the release of the final shape, auto rifles in general got a big buff, where they were dealing 15% increase in damage against all red bar enemies. Now, Necrochasm received some specific changes. Its intrinsic perk now provides increased reload speed. Also, the Cursed Thrall burn effect now lasts for 3.5 seconds, up from 2 seconds, meaning more opportunities to get another explosion. But then Bungie did an entirely new rework to the catalyst. You see, the original catalyst on this exotic was outlaw. Pretty basic, guys. Get a precision kill. This increases our reload speed. Not a bad perk, but again, not something that Necrochasm needed. It already has a high base reload speed of 76. So we in the community actually felt like this was a pretty dull catalyst. But now that this effect has now been baked into Curse Springer, our new catalyst grants us 1 for thrall. Yes, you heard that right. 1 for thrall. Little play on words there, guys. This is like a souped up version of 1 for all. We're hitting 3 separate targets, increases damage, range, handling, and aim assist for a moderate duration. Now, if we look at the damage here at Carl, our crit damage is 1,281, but with 1 for thrall being procced, this jumps up to 1,729. This is a massive 35% increase to our damage. Additionally, this also buffs our Curse Springer damage by 35%. You can see our tick damage jumping up to 689. Now, as for the other benefits, our handling bonus makes our ADS speed take 10 frames instead of 15. Aim assist is a small bump, but noticeable. And as far as the range increase, we tested this inside of PvP, and base Necrochasm reaches up to 28 meters. But with 1 for thrall active, our damage fall off increases to 31 meters. So pretty solid here, guys. Now, the perk is incredibly easy to proc too, and the damage from the thrall explosion can also activate it, meaning if you land a precision kill on a target and that cursed thrall explosion hits the surrounding enemies, boom, 1 for thrall is now active, hence the name of the perk. Now, another nice benefit is that 1 for thrall is refreshable. This has been our biggest complaint with 1 for all. You essentially have to let the perk run out, then hit 3 more enemies to then reactivate it once the timer ends. But here on Necrochasm, you just have to keep hitting 3 or more targets, and at any point that you do so, this refreshes the timer. It's a really big deal, guys. Hence why we said this is a souped up version of 1 for all. Now, our final bonus to add is that Necrochasm synergizes with necrotic grips. Now, I know we have some folks probably clutching their osteostrigos, but let's just be real. It's been nerfed. Actually, it's been nerfed a lot, like 2 or 3 nerfs. But what this really opens up is other alternatives, as necrotic grips states that damaging a target with melee poisons them, dealing increased damage over time, and defeating a poisoned target spreads the condition. It also provides a moderate benefit to the AE stat of all weapons of sorrow. Now, this of course applies to Necrochasm. Not only does this exotic enhance the poison spread of Necrochasm, it's got a really interesting interaction. If you kill any poison enemy with Necrochasm, even if the poison was started by a melee, it will trigger the Cursed Thrall explosion. The really cool part about this is that this works even if you kill with a body shot, which of course enhances this whole loop, since normally on its own you need a precision kill. So in terms of what we award Necrochasm, lethality, check. The exotic catalyst, big check. Bungie did a fantastic job with this rework. And the synergy it has, most notably with necrotic grips, is beautiful. And keep in mind, you can utilize things like Spirit of Necrotic here. It doesn't just have to be necrotic grips. If you wanted to do Spirit of Necrotic, Spirit of the Claw, or a number of other different combinations, you can do so. And that will beautifully synergize here with Necrochasm. But this now takes us to Khvostov, arguably the most iconic weapon in Destiny that I personally didn't care for back in D1. Yes, you had all these different options. You could change the rounds per minute. You can literally turn it from an auto rifle to a pulse rifle, merging different archetypes. But this was truly a weapon that was a jack of all trades, master of none. Khvostov now, though, here in Destiny 2, was just a monster. And we have an entire guide on how to get this exotic, guys. We'll have links to that down below. Yes, it is a bit annoying as the quest had various bugs. With that being said, though, Khvostov is a 600 round per minute kinetic auto rifle, and it has an attachment to the number 7. Its main exotic perk is the right choice, which reads that every 7th bullet from this weapon deals additional damage and ricochets to nearby targets. Now, normally our crit damage here is 3,318 against red bars, but on our 7th bullet, the one that ricochets, that number will jump up to a whopping 11,694. Guys, that is immense. A whopping 252.5% increase in damage, with the ricocheting bullets hitting 1 additional target. Now, our max size here is 43 bullets, with the first bullet always ricocheting. Now, this means that in a full magazine, we will get 7 of these powered up bullets, occurring at bullets 43, 36, 29, 22, 15, 8, and 1. Now, our next perk to take a look at here is Eyes Up Guardian, which states that collecting orbs of power strengthens this weapon's next several ricochet shots, allowing them to bounce between multiple targets. Essentially here, guys, when you pick up orbs, this perk will activate and cause your ricochet bullets to bounce additional times. Now, this perk will start at 7 stacks, decreasing by 1 every time a ricochet bullet is fired, as you see here. This perk is essentially what supercharges Khvostov, making a single shot mow down entire crowds. Now, finally, we have Shoot to Loot, where shooting an orb of power will pick it up, and shooting an ammo brick also picks it up, and automatically reloads all of your equipped weapons from reserves. Now, a great perk all on its own, especially especially in like low man content where ammo economy is so important. But for Khvostov especially, with the ability to snag those orbs, this allows for Eyes Up Guardian to activate much easier. And it's with these combination of perks that allows Khvostov to have its own self-feeding loop. It creates orbs from something like Kinetic Siphon. Orbs then can be shot to be picked up, which shoot to loot, thus triggering Eyes Up Guardian. Khvostov is a monster in all walks of content, guys, and has quickly become one of the best ad-clearing exotics we have ever seen. Which brings up the question, how does Necrochasm measure up to such a behemoth? Now, let me just mention that the competition for exotic primaries is fierce, especially so here. These exotics are fighting for your choice in the same slot, same elemental type, and same role. If you look at the numbers here, starting with Necrochasm, we deal 2,725 damage per crit to red bars, with a 1 mag DPS of 34,063. Now, with 1 for Thrall being active, this increases our 1 mag DPS quite substantially, jumping up to 45,985. Now, this is a really high value to reach. But next up, we have Khvostov. Khvostov has a slight damage difference, with the regular bullets dealing 3,318 damage, but with every 7th dealing 11,694. Now, this gives us a 1 mag DPS value of 47,930. Now, keep in mind, guys, the reason why we don't have Eyes Up Guardian into this mix is that was a mistake on Bungie's part. Eyes does not increase ricochet damage. It just makes it bounce more. So keep in mind, it's fantastic for ad clearing, but in terms of single target damage, you're going to be capping out at that 47,930. Now, that's still higher than Necrochasm. And even without Eyes Up, that powered up 7 bullet with that ricochet will hit many targets at the same time. The difference is that Necrochasm does have the off chance of chaining its Curse Thrall explosion ability as long as there are red bars to be killed. And I do believe that Cursebringer does level the playing field here, despite Necro here running behind in terms of DPS. But this also brings in the case of ease of use. Necrochasm has that amazing explosive potential, and when that pops off, it's amazing to see. However, to even start that chain, you have to get a precision kill. Now, once that chain is started, if paired with things like Necrotic Grips or Spirit of Necrotic, body shots will cause explosions on infected enemies. It's a beautiful thing to watch. But without that pairing though, you will be required to get precision hits to trigger the perk. This is in stark contrast to Khvostov, which will have its main perk triggered simply from spraying bullets. Combine that with Khvostov's self-feeding perk loop, its higher 1 mag DPS value, our answer becomes clear. While both are perfectly powerful and very good options, Khvostov edges out the win inside of PvE. I know, I've got some Necro players right now like Cross, boo this man! Fellas, this is just my opinion. With that being said though, let's talk PvP. Now, let me just say Khvostov was an absolute monster, especially like the first couple weeks of trials. We couldn't stop using it. Bannerfall rolled around and I was using it non-stop. Now, since then, there's been some slight nerfs to Khvostov, and really it's been reeled back quite a bit, not really receiving the meta attention that it once did. However, its base range right now is 28 meters. It does 27 damage per crit, 16 damage per body, with a 7 bullet crit being 29, and its 7 bullet body being 16. Now, what this really results in is an 8 crit 1 body 0.8 second time to kill value on Guardian's tier 10 resilience to tier 5. Then from tier 4 and below, it's 7 crits to body, and if you are lucky enough to come across a Guardian at tier 1 resilience, yes, it can 8 crit at 0.7 seconds. Now, where this differs from Necrochasm is that Necrochasm has the same range, around 28 meters. So marginal difference between these two weapons. However, if you do happen to activate the Catalyst with Necro inside of PvP, this does increase our range to 31 meters. Now, its damage is different because this is a different archetype, of course. It being a 720 versus a 600, it does 23 damage per crit and 14 damage per body. And this means that its time to kill is also different. Guardian's tier 10 resilience, it can achieve the TTK value in 0.83 seconds, 9 crits and 2 body. Then from tier 9 resilience to tier 5, it can actually get the kill in 10 crits, 0.75 seconds. Matter of fact, at tier 4 resilience and below, it can actually get the kill in 9 crits, 1 body. So some added forgiveness. Without a doubt, guys, Necrochasm cooks inside of PvP. Matter of fact, with Desperation, that time to kill changes drastically, resulting in a kill on a Guardian at max resilience being 0.67 seconds, and everyone else being at 0.6. That's cooking, fellas. And the beautiful thing about 1 for Thrall is that you don't need to proc 1 for Thrall off of a kill. Just simply tagging up 3 targets, which is really easy to do, whether it's in 6v6 or even 8v8. So without even including Desperation, this drops our TTK value down by itself to 0.67 seconds. Now, if we combine Desperation with 1 for Thrall, that too drops our time to kill down even further. We're talking 0.52 seconds and 9 crits on max resilience Guardians, with Forgiveness being being added at tier 8 resilience and below. Look, I don't know if you have any desire whatsoever to use Necrochasm inside of PvP, but it's a bullet hose. It feels good, and I know a lot of the attention was on Khvostov, but in this case, and this may be very, very surprising, I actually like Necrochasm more. And this is coming from someone who loved using Khvostov, but keep in mind, that was pre-nerf Khvostov. And a lot of people are assuming Necrochasm can hang based on their time playing with this exotic when it first came out. But with my time playing with Necrochasm, especially in bigger game modes, which seems to be a direction Bungie's trying to take us into, like I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually get a 12v12 mode, the ability of Curse Thrall explosions dealing 131 damage and also ticking damage, the combination of 1 for Thrall, lowering our time to kill values, and the proc of Desperation to chain into your next kills, even though Khvostov is amazing, especially for enemies that stay bunched up. There are many times you can proc Reaper inside of PvP and get that going. I just like Necrochasm even more. Now, with all that being said, in 1v1 scenarios, things do get a bit tighter, which even I have a tough time deciding between the two. I still think Necrochasm, though, is a force to be reckoned with inside of PvP, guys. I think Khvostov is also very good, but for style points, I'm gonna go with Necro on this. So guys, that is our comparison between both of these exotics. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you're interested in getting either one of these exotics, again, links will be down below on how to obtain them. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.